everyone, good morning. I'm Sudeepthi Dondapati, working as an associate professor from the Institute of Aeronautical Engineering College. And now I'm here to discuss the importance and how you can really build your group discussion skills for your bright future. So, the title of my presentation is like this. So, building group discussion skills for your bright future. So, how can you really build your group discussion skills for your bright future? And is that possible? And is that going to really be possible? Yes, my dear learners and my dear listeners, it is going to be possible. And where in many occasions I experience or I season that several students, our participants who work or who are going to appear for this group discussions or for the rounds, especially for campus placements, they're worried about participation or they're worried about these group discussions. So why is it happening? Are they not sure of the performance that they should have or they should be doing it at the time of this group discussion interview? Yes, they're not sure, and because of this lack of confidence and lack of performance in group discussions, they fail. They fail. So because of that, they are going to miss the opportunity that this company is going to offer. So you have to understand that there are some methods. So group discussion is not just like going and talking and giving your presentation or just talking about your performance. So, or just talking about your views. So group discussion is something that you should be well aware of. The key points or the key topics or the key opinions or the language or the expressions, you have to use it. So building group discussion skills for your bright future. Now, if you build up your group discussion skills, that will really bring you to this bright future that you are aspiring for, or this will help you with bright future and you can really achieve your goal. Now, let me go into the slides and teach you the importance and purpose, significance of this group discussion skills. So now, you have to understand the purpose. You have to understand the purpose of your group discussion skills or these group discussions. And what is the purpose for group discussions to happen? So, those group discussions happen because of, they will have to make decisions. So, to make decisions, to decide whom to invite and who to invite to a party, for example, where to seat them, where to invite them. So to make certain important decisions. So decisions of any type. Next, share your opinions on a given topic. So give and share your opinions on a given topic. To give and share your opinions, to tell your views, to reflect your opinions. So you are given group discussions, or you are asked to participate in group discussion, so that your set of beliefs or your belief system or your knowledge or your thinking or your thought process will definitely be understood, will definitely be known to the interviewers who are conducting this group discussions. So give and share your opinions on a given topic. So when you share your opinions, those can, or the situations can happen in group discussions. So example could be like discussing beliefs about the effectiveness of capital punishment. So discussing beliefs about the effectiveness of capital punishment. So this is just a random instance. For instance, like if you have to talk about your belief system about the effectiveness of capital punishment, and so where you give your opinions, where you share your opinions. And next, when you create something, okay, so you create something. Example, like you have to make a poster, you have to make a plan as a medium for feedback on a language course. So when you're creating something, when you are planning for something, when you're going to make a poster as a medium for feedback on a language course. So for example, for coming up with your creativity to plan some projects or to plan some like courses or kind of like you create anything, you will discuss, right? So for group discussions happen here in this context also. Next, to solve any problem, my dear listeners, to solve any problem you discuss. So kind of like discussing the situations behind a series of logic problems or logical solutions. So even to solve a problem, you need group discussion skills. Even to arrive at a solution, you have to, especially companies have, they look for this teams where they will participate in teams, and they come up with all these solutions in the form of group discussions. So for that, you will have to do it. Next, so that is all about purpose. So what is a purpose? The purpose could be like for making decisions, or to give and share your opinions, or to create anything, or to solve a problem, right? So for all these reasons, for all the sake, you will have to do this group discussion. Next, you need to remember some things to do effectively. So what you're doing there is, in group discussions, you have to analyze there. In group discussions, you have to analyze the content or the topic or the point or the concept you are talking, and then you have to persuade. So what are you going to do in group discussions? You're going to analyze, you're going to persuade. Also, you need to be mindful that you have to control your emotions. This is a place where everybody comes and somebody irritates you. So, this kind of irking behavior. So they irk you. So in that situation, you get irritated and upset. So in that occasion, in that situation, you have to know how to control your emotions. And when it is and when it is not appropriate to interrupt your colleagues or your fellow participants, and how you have to do it. So when to interrupt them and when not to interrupt them. You have to know. Next, make sure you know the language for agreeing and disagreeing. So we have to remember certain things. For one thing that you have to remember is, you have to make sure you know the language for agreeing and disagreeing. So what is this what is this agreement and disagreement? So do you really have to agree? Yes, you agree and disagree in group discussions. With whom? With who? You disagree and agree with your colleagues or pals or your fellow participants or fellow competitors. Like when you share your opinions or when you discuss in a topic, like you tell them your opinion and they will tell their opinions, and this is how you share your views and opinions. So, and when they share, or when you share, you will have to agree with them or you'll have to disagree with them. So you can politely do it, or whether you do it arrogantly, or it's like all your attitudinal issues should be kept under control. So how to agree and how to disagree, and if you're disagreeing and if you're agreeing, what are the language expressions you should use, and what are your what are the words you can use and what kind of vocabulary you use. So using all these things will really help them. So you have to be polite if you disagree also. You have to be polite when you disagree. So many students, they get irritated and they lose their temper, and they they use very bad language. They use very bad language, and they are no more they are no more patient, and they do not tolerate the things that are happening. So as a result, they will perform very badly, and they will earn a very bad reputation in group discussions. So ultimately, they will not follow. Ultimately, they will not be qualified. So you have to make sure that you know, and you know it for sure, that you have to it's like kind of you have to know the methods or the ways or the means to communicate to them, right? Next, use every second. Ask your partner what she or he thinks. You have to ask them. Not only in group discussion, you give your opinion. You have to ask your partner what he or she thinks. So how will you ask? So in the later slides, we will see how you can ask them. And when you're disagreeing, what are the expressions? When you're agreeing, what are the expressions? Now, use every second you are given to do that asking. So you have to strictly and perfectly utilize the time you are given to do that particular task in group discussion. So that is very important. And also finish the discussion by summarizing what you spoke about. So finish the discussion by summarizing. You have to summarize. You have to sum up your arguments. You have to sum up your, it's like the point that you are, the concept that you are giving. So the entire concept can be summed up by using appropriate words. Next. So you should also remember that you shouldn't interrupt others while they are speaking. So not to interrupt others when they are speaking. This is very important, and this kind of etiquette should be followed by the participants. And then also you have to remember that you have to listen carefully while others are speaking. So what you have to do? You have to listen carefully. Listen carefully how you can respond to them. Listen carefully how you can talk to them. Right? Next, never point fingers toward the participants. Never point fingers to. So it's like you say, oh, you said like this. Oh, what I said. Or like this fellow said like that. Or he said. So never show your fingers. Never point out them by using your fingers. So that is a very bad signal of your body language. But signal when you use your body language inappropriately. So you have to make sure that you don't use your fingers. Next, never indicate the participant's name. Never indicate the participant's name. So you can say, my friend, as my friend says, instead of saying, like for example, as George says. In certain contexts, that's acceptable, but you have to check for the environment whether you can use it. You can say, like as this gentleman has said, or this lady has pointed out, or as my friend so and so, my friend John has pointed out, or my friend Samuel has pointed out, or my friend like Rita has pointed out. So you get to know in their names and address them by saying that they are friends, or you can say Mr. or Mrs. Like you can address them very politely, but just don't say Rita said, okay, John said, like that. So never indicate the participant's name. Next, what are some basic rules and guidelines you should know? You must be very loud and clear in your voice, but you should not shout. So you have to make sure you are strictly following these rules. Like you have to be very loud and clear. Audible. You should be audible enough for others to listen to you, but you should not shout. So the rise and pitch of tone also should be taken care of, and so you must be loud and clear in your voice, but should not shout, my dear listeners. So this kind of moderate answers, so this kind of moderate responses, so these moderate reactions are welcome. Always, like they will add very good points to your presentation. So that's one thing I want to say. Next, you must communicate and express your thoughts and views effectively. So clear communication is very important. You have to express your thoughts and views very effectively. So effectively, you have to communicate and express your thoughts. And next, don't be harsh to the other members. So you should not be harsh to the other members. You have to see that you're very polite and gentle. So in addition to communication, that should happen very clearly, whether your expressions and thoughts and views are communicated very clearly, so that the other people or the other participants will not misunderstand you. So this communication, anywhere you go, so is very important. So this kind of communication problems will lead to different other problems. So you have to make sure you communicate and express your thoughts and views effectively. Next, don't be harsh to the other members. So When I say you shouldn't be harsh to the other members, I mean to say you should be gentle. You should be gentle enough to say, or you should be gentle enough to say or agree or disagree with the others. So I have to be very polite and gentle, and then always be polite in your tone and try to convince members. So polite in your tone instead of shouting at them. Next. So let me tell you what are some do's you have to follow, my dear listeners. The do's are as follows. Think about your opinion before the discussion starts. Think about your opinion before the discussion starts. So you have to be very clear about the stance that you are going to take. What is your standpoint? You have to be very clear and think it very properly. Next, say what you really think about the topic and explain why you think that. So when you are expressing your views and opinions, not only you should say why you think so, but also should say not what you think so, but also you should be able to tell them why you think so. So what you really think and why you should think. So these will help you understand. Next, help you understand how to proceed, and they can really make you feel that you are very good at doing it, or they can understand that you can effectively go. Next, listen to what your partner says and say if you agree or disagree. Listen to what your partner says and say whether you agree or not. Not only that you should listen to them, but also have to say whether you agree or disagree with them. Whether you agree with them or whether you disagree with them. So that is very important. Next, what are some don'ts? So we discussed do's till now, and what are some don'ts? So what are some do's we discussed? Thinking about your opinion, say what you really think about the topic, and listen to what your partner says. Say if you agree or disagree. Next, don'ts. Only give your opinion, but not only that you should give your opinion, but also respond to your partner. So, for example, let me say, I say that this is my opinion. I feel working in such a company is very advantageous. But then I say, but as my friend has pointed out, that I would definitely take into consideration, or definitely I do agree with him. So you not only agree or not only give your own opinion, but also you respond to your partner as the point that you have told just now. Certainly that should be considered, or that should be true, or one has to do it like that. So respond to them in one or the other way. Okay. And next, you should not worry if you don't agree with your partner. So this is very important. If you worry by disagreeing or with them, then that's a mistake. That's fine. You don't have to worry if you don't agree with them. So there are times where you can definitely disagree with them when they are not in line with the thought you are in. So you have to show your disagreement very politely, my dear audience. You have to politely disagree with them. Next, talk about things that are not relevant. Don't talk about the things that are not relevant. So don't talk about the things that are not relevant. So irrelevant stuff should be avoided. So that is very important. So irrelevant stuff should be avoided. So only pertaining to the topic you will have to discuss in groups. So only talk about the topic that is going on. So for example, when any topic that is given to you, like cricket, if a topic on the cricket is there, you should not talk about any other sport, or you should not talk about movies and interest in industries and try to link up with each other. So you have to be very crystal clear. So don't talk about the things that are not relevant to the topic. Next, let the discussion stop. Let the discussion, do not stop the discussion, but you have to keep that one going. So you have to keep it continuously. So do not abruptly, just because somebody misbehaved with you, don't try to stop the discussion and move away from the situation. Instead, try to continue the discussion. Next, there are many suggestions of language like you can use in discussions, like to agree and disagree. So they are nothing but communication strategies. So like kind of polite expressions you use, and the suggestions for you to have this kind of discussions to agree and disagree in this section, they are called communication strategies. So let me take you through these communication strategies. Like till now we talked about discussing communicate agreement, disagreement. I told you, like we've been discussing, like you can disagree with them, there's a way you can show your agreement, and there's a way you can show your disagreement, right? So far we have discussed all these things, but now you can understand, but now you can let me tell you that you should be able to know how to use these strategies, like communication strategies, where you know how to use this agreement and disagreement. See, express opinions, personal point of view. So when you're expressing your opinions, so and that too from your personal point of view, you have to use certain expressions. So what are the expressions? So like very few have heard of it, and these are not only the expressions to use, but these are some expressions to use. So as far as I'm concerned, I would like to, or the situation I'm going to be in, or as far as my situation is concerned, or I'm concerned, the procedure is like this, or the method is like that. Or also you can use any other expressions like I'm absolutely convinced of the fact that, or I'm absolutely convinced of the fact that. So likewise you can use several expressions like you're highly convinced, or also you can say it is kind of a common expression you can use, like in your perspective or in my opinion. See, personally I think I say that I support this view. Personally I think this will help us. So whatever is a point that you're talking, so you can use personally I think. I would say that, I would say that, I would suggest that, personally, I think, I would say that, or you can say that, like, you can use all these expressions, like, I would suggest that, or I would like to point out that, or I believe that, or what I mean is, like, because I believe that this is a good procedure. I would like to point out that this will help us, or I suggest this kind of machinery, or this kind of project, or this kind of work, this. So whatever is your point, you can use all these expressions, like what I mean is, or you can say, or it is obvious to me, it's obvious to me, or that is very clear to you. So you can use all such expressions. Next, so what are some expressions you can use when you are expressing a strong opinion? So when you express a strong opinion, what are some expressions you can use? I'm absolutely convinced that. I'm absolutely convinced that. Or I'm sure that. Or I strongly believe that. So when you want to show them a strong opinion, like an opinion which you strongly support, so you can say that, like, I strongly believe that, or I'm sure that, I have no doubt that, I have no doubt that, right? There's no doubt in my mind that, there's no doubt in my mind that. So these are some things that you can, expressions you can use. I'm absolutely convinced that, or I'm sure that this will definitely produce a great result, or you can use these expressions. And when you want to express your opinion neutrally, so neutral opinions, like you can say that I tend to think that, or I suppose that this will happen, or this gives rise to this, or it seems to be that. That means you're not very sure. Like kind of neutrality is understood in your tone. I tend to do this. Okay. It seems to you. I must admit that I'm not sure. So you can use all these expressions. When you are expressing a subjective opinion, that means like a personal point of view, from personal point of view, when you want to say, in my experience, in my experience, or from my perspective, you can say. Also, you can say, I don't know about other people, but I can say, I don't know about other people, but I can say, what I have found is in my career or in my observation, what I have found is as I see it, or as I understand. See, you can use all these expressions. In my experience, or I don't know about other people, or what I have found is, or as I see it, you can use all these expressions. Or now, when you want to express from general point of view, when you are expressing your general point of view, you can say that it is understood that, it is thought that, some people say that, or it is considered that, it is generally accepted that, it's generally accepted that. The research seems to suggest, that, apparently, the research seems to suggest, or apparently, you can say, or I've heard that so and so happened. Apparently, this will give a negative impression. Or you can also say, the research seems to suggest this will happen by this. This will happen definitely when you apply this method, or it is considered general point of view when you are. Or some people say that they give opinion saying that. So you can use all these expressions for expressing from the general point of view. And some expressions you can use when you are asking for someone's opinion in English. So when you are asking for someone's opinion in English, so what are the expressions you can say? Someone's opinions, for example, like you can talk to your participants in group discussions. So how do you ask them? So you can say, what do you think so? What's your view? How do you see the situation? What's your opinion? How do you see it? See, please don't use normal stereotype expressions, my dear learners. These kind of expressions, or these expressions will help you achieve the impression of the managers or the interviewers. Definitely, they will understand that you are doing well, that you are confident enough when you are using language. You are confident enough of the language. So, what's your view? How do you see the situation? What's your opinion? Okay, what do you think? What's your view? So all this can be used. Expressions can be used. Next, when you are agreeing with an opinion, that means when, like for example, in the group discussions, in the panel, right? In the panel, you have to agree with them, right? You have to disagree with them. So when they talked about their opinion, when they give their opinion, so what is the language you use? What are the expressions you use? So you can use the following expressions like, of course, my friend. So I told you sometime back, like if you are agreeing, what are the expressions to use? So you can say, of course, what you say is right. Sometimes you have to acknowledge your friends, your participants. Sometimes you have to appreciate them. Sometimes you have to disagree with them when you are not in an align with their thought. Yes, I agree. You're absolutely right. Of course. I think so too. Yes, I agree with you. You're absolutely right. That's a good point. Exactly what I feel. So, you acknowledge them, you show your agreement, and then give your opinion. And not only that, you should give your agreement, but also give your opinion. So, by using these expressions. Next, Also, other expressions like the continuity. I don't think so either. That means you're agreeing with them. So do I. That means like you are agreeing with them. I would go along with that. I would go along with that. That means you're showing your agreement. That's true. You're acknowledging and also accepting their opinion. Neither do I. Neither do I. That means you're also not agreeing. I agree with you entirely. I agree with you entirely. That means completely I agree with you. So you are showing your agreement by using all these. Please don't always use the same monotonous expressions, my dear listeners. Use a variety of expressions. Use different expressions. Use various expressions and nice language expressions. Next, continuing. That's just what I was thinking. That means you are showing your agreement and you say that you are the same. So, these are some expressions you can use when you are showing your agreement. And now, let me discuss with you what are some disagreeing expressions you can use. So, disagreeing expressions will help them understand that you disagree with them and you no more agree with them. So, by showing this, you are showing your disagreement. Now, that's different. That's different. So, you can use that's a different point. I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you. So, you're saying that you don't agree with them no more. However, that's not entirely true. So, you can use expressions. On the contrary, or conversely, or in contrast to. So, I haven't put up this, but like I'm suggesting, I'm sorry to disagree with you, but I have to say, or I have a point to say, like this you can say. Yes, but don't you think so? Yes, but don't you think so? That's not the same thing at all. That's not the same thing at all. So, you can use all these things. I'm afraid I have to disagree with you. I'm afraid I have to disagree with you. So, you are showing your disagreement. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure about that. It's unjustifiable to say that. It's unjustifiable to say that. I see what you're saying, but I see what you're saying, but you have a point there. You have a point there, but I have something to say. These are some polite expressions, learners, dear learners. But don't you think so? That means you're politely disagreeing with them. You're not just telling that, no, you're wrong. No, you should not use such straightforward. You should not use such expressions. No, what you said is wrong. Don't show your fingers and hands. No, what I said is right. So don't use impolite expressions. Instead, you can say, I'm afraid I have to disagree with you. It is unjustifiable to say that. I'm not so sure about that. That's not the same thing at all. You can say, I see what you're saying, but you have a point there, but I understand where you're coming from. I understand. That means I understand. What's your point? So, you can use all these expressions when you are disagreeing with them. When you are agreeing with them, partly, so not completely, but partly when you are agreeing with them. I see your point, but I agree with you to an extent. However, to make a good point, but you make a good point, but so you're here, you partly agree with them, but you are not completely agreeing with them, or you are not completely disagreeing with them. To some extent, you are agreeing. So I see your point, but I see some more danger, my dear friend. And I agree with you to an extent. However, I feel this is not, this perhaps might produce a very negative impression. Or you make a good point, but I see there are very sad or I see some like negative or bad effects if we use that. So you can partly agree with them by using these expressions. Next, asking opinions. So when you are asking for their opinion, See, here in group discussions, you not only give your opinions, you not only ask for their opinions, you not only disagree with their opinions, you not only tell your beliefs, but also you ask them for their opinion. So you kind of question them. What do you think? What do you think? Do you see what I'm getting at? What do you reckon? Do you see what I'm getting at? Do you see what I mean? Do you agree with me? Would you go along with that? Would you agree with me that? So would you go along with the point? That means like you're asking for their opinions. So do you agree with me in that issue, in that regard, or in that issue? Do you see what I mean? Or would you agree with me that this is what is going to happen? Right. So you have to use all these expressions. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that? So you're asking for their opinion and expressions. So don't you think that this is a procedure? Don't you think that this is a case? So in a way, you can ask them questions by using these expressions. Giving reasons. So what are some language functions or expressions you can use when you are giving reasons? So the main reason for doing this is, so you give them a kind of explanation. Taking into account, it was clear that the most important point seems to me that, or it's important that. So you use all these expressions. The main reason for doing this is you can use all these expressions when you are giving reasons. Owing to the fact that, so you can use all these things. See now, I have put up another slide here showing some linking words in English. So earlier we discussed what are the expressions you can use for giving reasons. And now let me take you through this list where you can use some linking words in English. So when you emphasize what you can really use. So when you are showing emphasis or when you want to stress on one particular point, when you emphasize, you can show them undoubtedly. You can use all these expressions. Undoubtedly, indeed, obviously, particularly, in particular, especially, clearly, importantly, absolutely, definitely, with a doubt, never, it should be noted. So when you're emphasizing, okay, absolutely, importantly, clearly, definitely. When you're talking about, when you want to give details by, with a meaning like in addition, like added to that. So you can use words like additionally, an additional account, furthermore, also, to, as well as that, along with that, besides. Besides is different from beside. Besides means in addition to. Besides doing the job, he does this business also. So in addition to that, that's the meaning. Next, moreover. That do not use and moreover. And moreover, both mean the same. But very often we see moreover and moreover is grammatically inaccurate. Not only, but also. In addition to this, apart from this, so you can use all this. Contrast. When you are expressing contrast situations, you can use these expressions. Unlike this, nevertheless, on the other hand, nonetheless, despite, in spite of that, in contrast to, while doing that, she also has this. Whereas this person is doing that while the other person is doing that. Alternatively, you can use alternatively, conversely, even so, differing from, separate from. Next, when you are listing out things in order, you can use words like firstly, secondly. These words will structure or will organize your essay, even when you are writing or when you are speaking. This will give you organize your speech or talk. Thirdly, finally, at this time, following, previously, before, subsequently, above all, last but not least, first and foremost. So you can use all these expressions. So now let me discuss with you. What are the skills that are judged in a GD or in group discussion? So you have to know, only then you will be able to prepare accordingly. So the skills that are going to be judged: how good you are at communicating with others, how good you are at communicating with others, with the other person, how easily you behave and interact with the other group members. So they'll be looking at you. How open-minded you are, how flexible or rigid you are in accepting the viewpoints of others in the group. How flexible or rigid you are in accepting the viewpoints of others in the group. Also, they will understand your leadership skills, the way you take turns, the way you give chance to them. Also, they will look at your analytical abilities, the way you analyze. Also, they will look at your problem solving skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills. Next, your skills at putting forth your ideas in an unbiased manner. So they can understand whether you are putting your views or when you show communicate your views in a biased manner. So they'll be evaluating that whether you are giving in an unbiased manner or not. Also, they will look at your social attitude. Also, they will evaluate your confidence levels. And also your dressing sense. This is very careful. So you cannot just go in informal dressing or dresses. Yeah, and also they will evaluate how you introduce the topic. If you are the one who is going to introduce the topic. And also they will look at presentation skills. So how you are presenting the idea, how you are presenting the concept. Also, they will understand and evaluate self-confidence. Listening skills, body language. This is very important, my dear listeners. Your body language is very significant and vital, especially when you are participating in group discussions. Also, your listening skill is very important because you listen to them for answering properly. You should be self-confident in order to defend your point. You have to present well in order to win their hearts. You have to introduce the topic in such a way that everybody understands. Your dressing should be very formal. And also they will look at your presence of mind. Persuasive skills are very important. Like your presence of mind, to respond at the spot. Okay, sometimes just abruptly you will have to, pick up an answer, and when the other person is sharing, you will have to answer. So your presence of mind when you are communicating, your persuasive skills, your general awareness of the topic, ethics and etiquette you should have. Okay, so also the general awareness of the topic and the persuade, how whether you are able to persuade others or not by giving your presentation or your opinion. So that's very important. And how you conclude with this group discussion, that is also very important. And what are the ethics you have? I mean, they will also understand your ethics and etiquette, your manners, your belief systems when you are sharing your opinion. So all these are very important. So you have to prepare well for the GATs, right? So these are some points. These are some suggestions I have for you when you are preparing. So when you see the picture there, right? You prepare for GDs with different methods by using them, right? So some questions like this can happen. First, how you prepare. Firstly, the preparation should focus on gaining the subject knowledge. You have to understand the subject, gathering information regarding their relevant points. Okay, so you have to gain the content, information. Then the second aspect is you have to practice them. Practicing is another important. And then So these two things are very important. Now, you have to understand what are some types of group discussions. So some types of group discussions are like topic based group discussions will be there. So like whether they get factual topics, controversial topics, abstract topics will be there. So some intangible things. So related to all this. So you have to understand topic based group discussions. And then another type is like case-based group discussion. So based on the case, problem solving, so abilities of the candidates will be tested and understood. So case-based about the problem, okay, and the topics where you can talk about factual and factual topics. So you can understand how to solve case studies based on. So when we discuss case based group discussions, so how to respond to or how to participate when you have to deal with problem solving or solve case studies, right? You have to understand the case thoroughly. When they give you a case and they will ask you to do it, group discussions on that, so you have to do the SWOT analysis for that. So you have to look for the problem. So what is the SWOT analysis? You have to understand the technique for assessing the performance. This is the best technique. They will use it for understanding, for assessing your performance, competition, your potential of the business, of a business you're into. Next, internal and external factors that are favorable and unfavorable to achieving the companies. So you have to be mindful of that. Next, you have to look for the problem, and you have to know through this SWOT analysis, like knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing your opportunities, okay, knowing your challenges, or okay, tests, or knowing your abilities, okay, opportunities are very, very important. Your testing times are very important. So next, now the topics to be expected for the GDs. So we can expect current events across the countries. So the topics can be either direct or abstract, or the candidates have to relate the abstract topics to a recent event of relevance. So you have to current affairs topics, abstract topics, business and economy, social issues, all these things. Like current affairs could be like, is coronavirus impact on global economy? Coronavirus impact on global economy. Is social distancing the new world order? See, these are current topics that exist. Okay, online education, work from home. Have we arrived in virtual world? So these are some abstract topics like hard work versus smart work, leader versus follower, ethics or profit, work-life balance is a myth, friends, enemies or frenemies. Frenemies are like both who acts as an enemy, also acts as a friend. So those are topics. So how you can handle abstract topics? So they may be difficult, but then like if you concentrate well, the task is very simple. The advantage of this abstract topic is that that it can be interpreted in various ways, and GD can be taken forward accordingly. And some business economy related topics. Cashless economy, is India ready for it? Is globalization an opportunity or a threat? Demonetization, discuss its success and failure. So these are some social business economy related topics. Some social issues like success of Swachh Bharat mission, rural versus urban India, give views on the present system of education in our country. These can be topics under social issues. So the best materials you refer to GD for GD preparation is like newspapers, magazines, current affairs. You can use like affairs like Outlook, Frontline, etc. Right? So these are some topics you can expect. Is technology making us less human? Hard work or smart work? Friends are more important than family. All this, like 77% of attendance is too much for engineering students. These are some controversial. Does dress code really matter at educational institutions? So all these things. Freshers are better than laterals. Or advertisements on TV are all glitter and little truth. So advertisements are about advertisements. So these are some more. Impact of COVID-19 on global economy. How can we utilize technology to tackle? Is India ready for 5G? All this. Future of artificial intelligence. Work from home, pros and cons. E-learning, pros and challenges. Impact of COVID-19 on the education sector. Lessons from for the world from COVID-19 pandemic. Impact of coronavirus on environment. Mental illness is more commonplace in urban India as compared to rural India. Yes or no? Don't you think too much importance is given to cricket as compared to other sports in India? These are some topics that you can expect. So, my dear listeners, hope these suggestions, so these expressions that you have heard in the discussions will definitely help you build up your group discussion skills for your bright future. You follow these strategies, understand these methods and these expressions. Definitely, you can achieve your goal. Especially, you can qualify your GDs when you appear for the placements. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.